Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, selections from the translation by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, concerning the appearance and activities of Sri Varahadeva Bhagavan. You got the book there in Tamil? I'm going to be jumping. Okay. So starting from Canto 3, Chapter 13, which is entitled The Appearance of Lord Varaha, beginning from verse 17, because the prior to this, they're not specifically topics of Varaha. We begin with Lord Brahma speaking or thinking. While I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us. O sinless Vidura, this is Maitreya speaking to Vidura, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb. So this was a situation, the earth had fallen deep into the water at the bottom of the universe, and Varahadeva appeared to pick up the earth. He first appeared from one of the 8 nostrils of Lord Brahma in a very small size relative to Lord Brahma. Size of the upper portion of a thumb. O descendant of Bharat, while Brahma was observing him, that boar became situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as gigantic as a great elephant. So he became very small out of the nostril and then flew up in the sky in a huge form. Struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma, with great brahmanas like Marichi as well as the Kumaras and Manu, began to argue in various ways, saying things like this. Is this some extraordinary entity come in the pretense of a boar? It is very wonderful that he has come from my nose. So he appeared, and the great personalities in the universe, they weren't sure what's going on. Who is this? Some amazing creature, is it? Is this massive boar? Is he good or bad? Or they didn't know what's going on. For all they knew, he could have been some great demon even. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb, and within a moment he is as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu? Sounds better. While Brahma was deliberating with his sons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, roared tumultuously like a great mountain. Yeah, roared like a mountain. Who ever heard a mountain roaring? Well, they used to, as Prabhupada comments in the purport. The omnipotent Supreme Personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and other highly elevated brahmanas by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions. When the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janaloka, Tapoloka and Satyaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Boar, which was the all-auspicious sound of the all-merciful Lord, they chanted auspicious chants from the 3 Vedas. Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water after roaring again in reply to the Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental, yet because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee brahmanas engaged in offering prayers. Thus he entered the water. Diving into the water like a great mountain, Lord Boar divided the middle of the ocean, and two high waves appeared as the arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord, O Lord of all sacrifices, please do not cut me in two, kindly give me protection. Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean, although it was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resting place for all living creatures, lying as it was in the beginning of the creation, and he personally lifted it. Lord Boar very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then, his anger glowing like the Sudarshan wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although he, Hiranyaksha, tried to fight with the Lord. Thereupon Lord Boar killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth. Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamal tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord. All the sages uttered, that means that he took the form, the bluish complexion, which is associated with the original form of Vishnu. All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable enjoyer of all sacrifices, all glories and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair holes of your body the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass, in your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your forelegs are the 4 kinds of fruitive activities. O Lord, your tongue is a plate of sacrifice, your nostril is another plate of sacrifice, in your belly is the eating plate of sacrifice, and another plate of sacrifice is the holes of your ears. In your mouth is the Brahma plate of sacrifice. Your throat is the place of sacrifice known as Soma, and whatever you chew is known as Agnihotra. Moreover, O Lord, the repetition of your appearance is the desire for all kinds of initiation. This is 3:13. Your neck is the place for 3 desires, and your tusks are the results of initiation and the end of all desires. Your tongue is the prior activities of initiation. Your head is the fire without sacrifice, as well as the fire of worship, and your living forces are the aggregate of all desires. O Lord, your semen is the sacrifice called Soma Yagya. Your growth is the ritualistic performances of the morning. Your skin and touch sensations are the 7 elements of the Agnishtoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore you are the object of all sacrifices called Soma and Asoma, and you are bound by yagyas only. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipped by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the supreme spiritual master of knowledge in devotional service. O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower with leaves, sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. O Lord, as the peaks of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks. O Lord, for the residential purpose of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the irony wood. Who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Jana, Tapas and Satyalokas, but still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. The sage Maitreya said, the Lord being thus worshipped by all the great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water. In this manner, the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode. If one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of Lord Bor, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is very pleased. Okay, now I'm going forward to chapter 18 of the same canto, in which at the request of Vidura, Maitreya describes in more detail the fight between Lord Bor and, yes, this chapter is entitled The Battle Between Lord Bor and the Demon Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha, having been born from Diti to please his elder twin brother, Hiranyakashipu, wandered all over the earth, conquering all directions, or not exactly conquering because everyone ran away from him. Yeah, conquering, without resistance. He went to Varuna asking for a fight, and Varuna said, no, I'm not going to fight, I'm too old to fight. But anyway, you can fight with Vishnu. You'll see him soon. And we continue from there. Maitreya continued, the proud and falsely glorious Daitya, namely Hiranyaksha, paid little heed to the words of Varuna, because Varuna had said, yes, you'll meet Vishnu, and then he'll kill you. O dear Vidura, he learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean, because at this time the Supreme Lord was in the ocean in the form of Varahadeva. He saw there the all-powerful Personality of Godhead in his Bor incarnation, bearing the earth upward on the ends of his tusks and robbing him, namely Hiranyaksha, of his splendor with his reddish eyes. The demon laughed, oh, an amphibious beast. He mocked Varahadeva. The demon addressed the Lord, oh, best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar, just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. Hey, that belongs to me. You can't take it. Hiranyaksha says, you rascal, Hiranyaksha, says to Lord Vishnu. He's definitely going to get in a lot of trouble here. You have been nourished by our enemies to kill us, and you have killed some demons by remaining invisible. O fool, your power is only mystic, so today I shall enliven my kinsmen by killing you. Yeah, demons generally talk a lot of arrogant nonsense. So the demon continued, when you fall dead with your skull smashed by the mace hurled by my arms, the demigods and sages who offer you oblations and sacrifice in devotional service will also automatically cease to exist like trees without roots. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain. But seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusks was frightened, he rose out of the water just as an elephant emerges with its female companions when assailed by an alligator. The demon, who had golden hair on his head and fearful tusks, gave chase to the Lord while he was rising from the water, even as an alligator would chase an elephant. Roaring like thunder, he said, are you not ashamed of running away before a challenging adversary? There is nothing reproachable for shameless creatures. The Lord placed the earth within his sight on the surface of the water and transferred to her his own energy in the form of the ability to float on the water. While the enemy stood looking on, Brahma, the creator of the universe, extolled the Lord, and the other demigods rained flowers on him. The demon, who had a wealth of ornaments, bangles, and beautiful golden armor on his body, chased the Lord from behind with a great mace. The Lord tolerated his piercing ill words, but in order to reply to him, he expressed his terrible anger. The personality of Godhead said, indeed we are creatures of the jungle, and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose talk in which you are indulging, for you are bound up by the laws of death. Certainly we have stolen the charge of the inhabitants of Rasathala and have lost all shame. Although bitten by your powerful mace, I shall stay here in the water for some time, because, having created enmity with a powerful enemy, I now have no place to go. You are supposed to be the commander of many foot soldiers, and now you may take prompt steps to overthrow us. Give up all your foolish talk and wipe out the cares of your kith and kin by slaying us. One may be proud, yet he does not deserve a seat in an assembly if he fails to fulfill his promised word. Sri Maitreya said, the demon, being thus challenged by the personality of Godhead, became angry and agitated, and he trembled in anger like a challenged cobra. Hissing indignantly, all his senses shaken by wrath, the demon quickly sprang upon the Lord and dealt him a blow with his powerful mace. The Lord, however, by moving slightly aside, dodged the violent mace blow aimed at his breast by the enemy, just as an accomplished yogi would elude death. The personality of Godhead now exhibited his anger and rushed to meet the demon, who bit his own lip, took up his mace again, and began to repeatedly brandish it about. Thus, with his mace, the Lord struck the enemy on the right of his brow, but since the demon was expert in fighting, O gentle Vidura, he protected himself by a maneuver of his own mace. In this way, the demon Haryaksha, which is another name for Hiranyaksha, and the Lord, the personality of Godhead, struck each other with their huge maces, each enraged and seeking his own victory. Yeah, if any one of us were to be struck even once by a mace, we'd be finished, but of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has an imperishable form, and even great demons like Hiranyaksha, they can take some blows and just still go on fighting. They're so strong. There was keen rivalry between the two combatants. Both had sustained injuries on their bodies from the blows of each other's pointed maces, and each grew more and more enraged at the smell of blood on his person. In their eagerness to win, they performed maneuvers of various kinds, and their contest looked like an encounter between two forceful bulls for the sake of a cow. O descendant of Kuru, Brahma, that means descendant of Kuru means Maitreya speaking to Vidura. Brahma, the most independent demigod of the universe, accompanied by his followers, came to see the terrible fight for the sake of the world between the demon and the personality of Godhead, who appeared in the form of a boar. After arriving at the place of combat, Brahma, the leader of thousands of sages and transcendentalists, saw the demon who had attained such unprecedented power that no one could fight with him. No one except Vishnu. Brahma then addressed Narayana, who was assuming the form of a boar for the first time. That means he's called here Adi Shukaram. There's a Divya Desham in Tamil Nadu also. Adi Varaha Perumal. Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, this demon has proved to be a constant pinprick to the demigods, the brahmanas, the cows, and innocent persons who are spotless and always dependent upon worshipping your lotus feet. He has become a source of fear by unnecessarily harassing them. Since he has attained a boon from me, he has become a demon, always searching for a proper combatant, wandering all over the universe for this infamous purpose." Lord Brahma continued, "My dear Lord, there is no need to play with this serpentine demon who is always very skilled in conjuring tricks and is arrogant, self-sufficient and most wicked." Brahma continued, "My dear Lord, you are infallible. Please kill this sinful demon before the demoniac hour arrives and he presents another formidable approach favorable to him. You can kill him by your internal potency without doubt. My Lord, the darkest evening which covers the world is fast approaching. Since you are the soul of all souls, kindly kill him and win victory for the demigods. The auspicious period known as Abhijit, which is most opportune for victory, commenced at midday and has all but passed. Therefore, in the interest of your friends, please dispose of this formidable foe quickly. This demon, luckily for us, has come of his own accord to you, his death ordained by you. Therefore, exhibiting your ways, kill him in the jewel and establish the worlds in peace." So killing for the sake of peace. Chapter 19, the killing of the demon Hiranyaksha. Sri Maitreya said, after hearing the words of Brahma, the Creator, which were free from all sinful purposes and were as sweet as nectar, the Lord heartily laughed and accepted his prayer with a glance laden with love. The Lord, who had appeared from the nostril of Brahma, sprang and aimed his mace at the chin of his enemy, the Hiranyaksha demon, who was stalking fearlessly before him. Struck by the demon's mace, however, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand and looked splendid as it fell down whirling. This was miraculous, for the mace was blazing wonderfully. So it looks like advantage here, Hiranyaksha here. Even though the demon had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe without obstruction, he respected the law of single combat, thereby kindling the fury of the Supreme Lord. So Hiranyaksha is an advantage because he struck the mace of Varaha so strongly that Varahadeva lost his mace. And in this situation, Hiranyaksha could have just struck Varaha with his mace, and there was no mace. Varahadeva had lost his mace to defend himself with. But Hiranyaksha desisted from beating Varahadeva in that condition to follow the laws of dharmic, religious battle. And that made Varahadeva more angry. That, you have the opportunity to kill me, but you're not taking it. That means you think that you don't need to. You don't need to kill me. in this, just like Arjuna killed Karna when Karna was disadvantaged, not finding any other way to do so. So Varahadeva became angry, thinking that Hiranyaksha, he's overestimating himself or underestimating myself, thinking that if he lets me take back my weapon, then he can still kill me. So continuing Srila Prabhupada's translation, as the Lord's mace fell to the ground and a cry of alarm arose from the witnessing crowd of gods and rishis, the personality of Godhead acknowledged the demon's love of righteousness and therefore invoked his Sudarshan discus. Things are getting dangerous here, getting more intense. As the discus began to revolve in the Lord's hands and the Lord contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha attendants, who had been born as Hiranyaksha. Remember Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are Jai and Vijay. You may not know the story, but I'm not going to go through it all now. Hiranyaksha, a vile son of Diti, there issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you. Pray dispatch him. Play no more with him." Saying, "Kill him! Go and kill him! Don't let him live." Now is the inauspicious time in which the demons become more powerful. Because if you don't kill him, and we've been cheering you on, we're really going to be in a lot of trouble. When the demons saw the personality of Godhead, who had eyes just like lotus petals, standing in position before him, armed with his Sudarshan discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. If a devotee sees the Lord, his senses become overpowered by blissful affection. So, same person but different reaction. He, Hiranyaksha, began to hiss like a serpent and he bit his lip in great resentment. Karaladangstra, his fearful tusks. The demon who had fearful tusks stared at the personality of Godhead as though to burn him. Springing into the air, he aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain, O saintly Vidura." While his enemy looked on, the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, even as it came upon him with the force of a tempest. The Lord then said, "Take up your weapon and try again, eager as you are to conquer me." Challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared. When the Lord saw the mace flying toward him, he stood firmly where he was and caught it with the same ease as Garuda, the king of birds, would seize a serpent. His valor thus frustrated, the great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by the personality of Godhead. He now took a trident, which was as rapacious as a flaming fire, and hurled it against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, even as one would use penances for a malevolent purpose against a holy Brahmana. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore to pieces with his discus Sudarshan, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda. The demon was enraged when his trident was cut to pieces by the discus of the personality of Godhead. He therefore advanced toward the Lord and, roaring aloud, struck his hard fist against the Lord's broad chest, which bore the mark of Srivatsa. Then he went out of sight. Hit in this manner by the demon, O Vidura, the Lord who had appeared at as the first boar, did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body, any more than an elephant would when struck with a wreath of flowers. The demon, however, employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of Yoga Maya. At the sight of this, the people were filled with alarm and thought that the dissolution of the universe was near. Fierce winds began to blow from all directions, spreading darkness occasioned by dust and hailstorms. Stones came in volleys from every corner as if thrown by machine guns. The luminaries in outer space disappeared due to the skies being covered with masses of clouds which were accompanied by lightning and thunder. The sky rained pus, hair, blood, stool, urine and bones. O sinless Vidura, mountains discharged weapons of various kinds, and naked demonesses armed with tridents appeared with their hair hanging loose. Cruel and savage slogans were uttered by hosts of ruffian yakshas and rakshasas, who all either marched on foot or rode on horses, elephants, or chariots. The Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshan, which was capable of dispersing the magical forces displayed by the demons. At that very moment, a shudder suddenly ran through the heart of Diti, the mother of Hiranyaksha. She realized the words of her husband Kashyapa, and blood flowed from her breasts. The words of her husband Kashyapa was that because Diti, had petitioned Kashyapa for sexual union with him at the inauspicious hour of dusk, therefore her sons would be born as demons, but that they would be killed by Vishnu. That was the good part, that they would be killed by Vishnu. When the demon, this is pretty, this is mixture of Vira ras, heroism, Bibhatsa ras, macabreness, bhayanaka, some fearfulness. All these uparasas are prominent in this story. When the demon saw his magic forces dispelled, he once again came into the presence of the personality of Godhead, Keshava, and full of rage tried to embrace him within his arms to crush him. But to his great amazement, he found the Lord standing outside the circle of his arms. The demon now began to strike the Lord with his hard fists, but Lord Adhoksha just slapped him in the root of the ear, even as Indra, the lord of the Maruts, hit the demon Vritra. Though struck indifferently by the Lord, the conqueror of all, the demon's body began to wheel. His eyeballs bulged out of their sockets, his arms and legs broken, and the hair on his head scattered. He fell down dead like a gigantic tree uprooted by the wind. Aja, Brahma, and others arrived on the spot to see the fearfully tusked demon lying on the ground biting his lip. The glow of his face was yet unfaded, and Brahma admiringly said, "Oh, who could meet such blessed death?" Brahma continued, "He was struck by a forefort of the Lord, whom yogis seeking freedom from their unreal material bodies meditate upon in seclusion in mystic trance. While gazing on his countenance, this crest jewel of Diti's sons has cast off his mortal coil." Mortal coil means material body. It's a anarchic or out of date or not much used in the modern time way of saying. And then the other forms Srila Prabhupada uses, presumably got this from his biblical education, which he got at school, material tabernacle. He also uses that term sometimes. So Brahma says here that the yogis, they try to get a vision of the Lord's lotus feet. Pantasu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayora tapi manasomani pungavalam sopyastyat prabhati sinya vinchintya tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Koti shatavatsara, long time. They do meditation. But they can't understand Vishnu, Govinda, because he is avichintya tattva. He's completely beyond the conception of the mind. So the yogis, dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. They try to see Vishnu in their heart, beginning from the lotus feet. But it's very difficult for them. But this demon, not only did he see the lotus feet, but he got touched by the lotus feet, in fact kicked to death. So it's glorious. Somehow or other, if one can come in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord. It's not everyone who gets kicked to death by Vishnu. You have to be a really big demon to get personally killed by Vishnu. Usually he does it through his material energy. Don't try to be such a big demon that Vishnu will kill you, because anyway in Kali Yuga we don't find such big demons. There are plenty of, relatively speaking, according to our estimation, there are certainly powerful demons, but as Srila Prabhupada said, with one kick, Krishna can kick them all out, as he did with Hiranyaksha. So, Brahma continues. These two personal assistants of the Supreme Lord, having been cursed, have been destined to take birth in demoniac families. After a few such births, they will return to their own positions. The demigods address the Lord. All obeisances unto you. Namo namaste. You are the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and you have assumed the form of a boar in pure goodness for the purpose of maintaining the world. Fortunately for us, this demon who is a torment to the worlds has been slain by you, and we too, O Lord, are now at ease in devotion to your lotus feet. Hiranyaksha is dead. Oh. But there was still Hiranyakashipu. The fun wasn't over yet, or the misery for the demigods. Sri Maitreya continued. After thus killing the most formidable demon Hiranyaksha, the Supreme Lord, Hari, the origin of the boar species. This means Adi Sukara. Again, referred to that by that term. Hari Adi Sukara. Where does that come? Kamantam Harir Adi Sukraha. The origin of the boar species returned to his own abode, where there is always an uninterrupted festival, Akhanditotsavam. The Lord was praised by all the demigods, headed by Brahma. Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, I have explained to you the personality of Godhead's coming down as the firstborn incarnation and killing in a great fight a demon of unprecedented prowess, as if he were just a plaything. This has been narrated to me as I heard it from my predecessor, spiritual master. Hare Krishna, Varahadeva Bhagavan ki jai, Keshava Dhrita Shukara Rupa, Jai Jagadisha. Hare Krishna. Questions. Questions about Leela becomes often very difficult. It's quite inconceivable. Anyway, why did he come in the form of a boar? Well, that form is suitable for the work of picking up the earth from the bottom of the ocean. You see, a boar will look in the drain and put his nose in and try to find something. So that's the reason that Srila Prabhupada gave. He came in that form. That is his eternal form. Yeah. Yeah, there are two different descriptions. There's the Shveta Varaha and the Rakta Varaha, the white form and the red form. But Jiva Goswami, I believe it is, says that these two appearances of the Lord, the story is merged in one in the Bhagavatam. Is Prajapati? Yagyapati. Yagyapati. Yeah. Well, actually, Varaha is often particularly linked with Yagya. And what's the exact reason? I remember I came across it, but I don't remember it now. What's the reason? Exactly. His wife is the earth. Bhushakti, Bhumi Devi, is Satyabhama, but particularly the earth is, in this form, is particularly known as the wife of Varaha, because he lifted her up, he rescued her, and he impregnated her at that time, and the son was born, this Narakasura, who later he killed. Later Krishna came and he killed, because he was a demon. Now there is some reason particular, but I just don't remember it now. Why all forms of Vishnu there now, but he's known as Yagyavaraha, is a common term. Particularly he's related with Yagyas. Maybe because of that, because he's the husband of the earth, and it's with the ingredients of the earth that is one is to perform Yagyas. By performing Krishi Go Raksha, one can perform Yagyas. Krishi Go Raksha means with grains and ghee. And also the earth is the place for performing Yagyas. This is Karma Bhumi. That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. This earth planet is Karma Bhumi. So all the karma, what is that? Sarva, Akhilam, Karma. In the third chapter of Gita, Krishna says that all, third or fourth chapter? Yagya Karma Samudbhavam. Yeah, but there's another thing I was thinking that. Yagya is produced of, it comes about via karma, but there's another one, sarvakilam, that all karma, it culminates in yagya. So this is the place for performing sacrifice. We find that demigods, they come, if they're to perform sacrifice, they'll also come here to perform sacrifices often. So there's something. The Lord of spiritual intelligence is Hayagriva. Yeah, that's well known. He gives the Vedas. He's one of the forms of the Lord who restores the Vedas. Exactly why that particular form, I don't know. They'll pray to him rather than Saraswati. There are many such points. Someone can study Shastra deeply and unearth some of these points. Not all of them, because it's not possible to know everything. And different sampradayas will explain it in different ways also. You have to say something, Shamananda? Which Maharaj? Dhanavya Maharaj. Yeah. The earth is floating in water, there's a lot of confusion about that, yeah. The Lord placed the earth on water, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I won't comment because my knowledge of Vedic cosmology is about the same as that of everyone else in the room, which is slightly above zero. So I wouldn't like to comment. Let someone who knows about these things speak. You can read in the Bhagavatam, but to understand it is very difficult, as is stated in the Bhagavatam itself. Well, we can just go through. Morning, go through all the morning. Those who want can participate. Yeah. Yeah, and at midday also there can be a class for the public. And in the meantime, we can go on with Shravan Kirtan. I asked Murari to arrange that. We can have song sheets printed out and all this kind of thing. We'll just go on all the way through. Oh, then we're getting into too many questions here. We're getting off. You can ask Shyamananda. He's a big Shyamananda Pandit. That was the name of one of three great devotees who in the generation, 2 generations after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you can ask him all these detailed things. That's described, yes, in Prabhupada's books, in this Laghu Bhagavatamrita, all these things. All these books can be translated into Tamil and then you can read them all. So many things. Hare Krishna. All glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Shri Varahadeva Bhagavan ki jai.